to be in orbit.
Hello, and thank you so much for coming to our very first live stream. Really exciting to kind of do one of these finally. We've got some amazing guests lined up for you, and you'll be able to ask questions and interact. The only thing we ask is you just, be decent, civil. Anyone that's kind of being a troll, as we say, will be removed, and you can make your excuses later. This is a positive space, and we intend to keep it light and keep it a party. But first of all, I am going to bring in my wonderful co-host who's going to help me host this today. Give it up for the one and only Roz Mugford. Hello,
Hey.
Roz.
Hey, everybody. Oh my gosh, Dan, this is so exciting. I feel the nerves. I feel the anxiety and the nerves. Yeah. It's like anytime I do anything live, I'm super nervous because I'm like, this could just slide sideways on us, technology, snow. It's an ice storm here today. So I'm happy to be here and hopefully it all just rolls smoothly.
Right. Yeah. So if anyone's watching, we've got an ice storm up with Roz, which is ongoing. So any digital gremlins there, that's that. And for me, we've got a crazy windstorm happening and it keeps cutting off my Starlink connection. But I've been playing with it all afternoon. So hopefully it just kind of holds. Merry Christmas, Roz. How was your holidays?
Merry Christmas, Dan. Oh, it was weird this year. Our son doesn't come in until this week, and our friends are arriving this week. So we had a very quiet, restful week where we watched Stranger Things, we watched Pluribus, we watched I watched James Fox's new doc, which was awesome. So, just lots of chilling and, catching up on some content. How about you?
Nice. Yeah, about the same in terms of the TV shows you've been watching. Very, very similar. We might as well have been in the same household, I guess. But yeah, we've been enjoying the holidays, traveling down to Florida, seeing the Kennedy Space Center and Titusville and seeing family and things like that. And really just having my first all-American Christmas, and it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. And people decorate like crazy here. So I've been loving the Christmas lights. Can't fault it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's not too much decorating here in the county, a little bit, not too much overboard. But yeah, it's been lovely. It's cold. It's definitely Christmassy. So I'm ready for my week of New Year's celebrations. And this is the start of that. So I'm super excited. We're going to have a good time. So what's on deck for us today, Dan? Tell us about what's on deck.
On the deck is we're going to be discussing the year gone by and kind of looking forward as well. But mostly the year gone by. Highlights, disappointments, and those can be personal as well as just the UFO world, So yeah, each guest will have time to kind of share those. And then at about past, I guess, we'll break into Q&As and stuff like that. And the audience can ask questions of our awesome guests. Trust me, guys. You're going to like these guests. First, we're going to introduce someone who's been helping us behind the scenes a lot make this show. Your wonderful husband, Pedro Pascal. I mean, Dale. He looks a lot like Pedro Pascal to me. Hello, Dale.
Here he is.
How you doing?
How you doing? You can hear me?
We can indeed, yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the party.
People in the chat asking what do we drink on? Drink whenever you like. If you got it, drink it. There are some people saying the video keeps kind of chopping out, but it is what it is, digital gremlins and weather and things like that. But yeah, and this show, just for everyone, this live show, you will not see again. Once this is over, it will go into the vault on you'll be able to pop over to our Patreon, which you can see the link just here below. That should be clickable for people. If not, you can go through our website as well. And our website you can find at tobehumanshow.com. Okay. And Dale is responsible for that. It looks wonderful. He's made me look very professional there. Thank you so much, Dale, for that.
It's my job.
We wanted to introduce you to the audience today, Dale. I'm going to try not to call you babe We
Babe.
wanted to introduce you to
I'm
the
going to call you babe.
That's right. Old habits die hard. But, you know, he's been behind the scenes doing the website, helping us figure out technical stuff right from the get-go. And also Dale, you know, has a huge fascination with all things UAP and UFO, just like me. So we have lots of deep late-night conversations about all this stuff.
Yes,
So,
I bet. Good pillow
we were
talk.
talking before the show, but I shared with Dan the signed Bob Lazar sketch poster,
Very
which
nice.
which is a real nice treat. When he was offering those, I got this years and years ago, and he signed it. I told you so. So, you know, exclamation mark from Bob.
I bet that felt good for him.
Yeah, we've both been interested in the topic, and you know, supernatural, supernormal, and certainly consciousness as well. And I feel like now more than ever, there's a convergence, even in mainstream disciplines, towards really looking more deeply at aspects of reality which we have been essentially ignoring. So really enjoyed it, like supporting you guys on this journey, and everything. I think so far in this season has been really super interesting, and a nice variety of hosts. And of course, love listening. I particularly listen to the signal. So when the both of you were going off on the signal, then I usually put in my ears when I'm doing something, doing some hobby or something. And I was saying to Roz that I really appreciate the kind of compendium, all the research that you do, Dan, and like all of the notes and all the news and stuff, because there's all these little details that, you know, it kind of puts my mind at ease to not be so voraciously trying to stay on top of the topic. It's like, oh, I can listen to the signal. I'll get caught up on what's happening and what's going on. So yeah. And I hope that the listeners and viewers feel the same.
Oh, that's really kind of you to say, Dale. And yeah, that's what we aim for, you know? Like, there's so much to follow, and there's still so much we don't talk about, right? I think there's about 5 items left over every time we do a recording for the signal, and it moves to the next episode,
There's
you know?
so much.
And there's even one thing that I've tried to put in every episode we've done so far, and we just haven't got to it yet. And when it's time, it's time. You know, that's the way these things go. But I'm glad that it, like, scratches that itch for you.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm also very grateful for Dan, because he explains lots of things to me in the show that I would not have otherwise known with his deep dive research, like James Lakatsky, for example. That was great. After we talked in the episode of The Signal, I felt like I finally understood, you know, what James Lakatsky was all about in his history. So yeah,
there's a lot of connect the dots work that you do, Dan, that I think is super critical. And I would imagine that much of the audience that you've collected over the years really appreciates that about you, that you're able to like connect the dots on these historical moments and maybe between the lines pieces and little bits that, you know, I think so many of us that are, you know, we're all sleuths. We're all trying to put the pieces together and you're trying to make sense of it and understand it, because we're all trying to desperately avoid ontological shock. So, you know, the more that we understand the inner workings of how this is all happening, I think, because it's like, if and when, quote unquote, disclosure, quote unquote, was to happen, you want to be like, yep, okay, oh man, it's true. Roz recently said to me, he's like, what if it's all true? And it's like, yeah, you got to brace yourself. What if it's really weird and it's really wacky and there's a lot of moving pieces, and, you know, so there's not that I'm like, you know, preparing for it, but I want to understand, right? And to understand some of the goings on, you need to be able to connect the dots together. And that's what you do so well.
Thank you. Well, I feel awkward taking compliments, so we're going to throw to the next guest now. But it's really kind of you to say.
That's why I did it live.
I'm glad that, you know, it's just that it streamlines all that for you. And the original name for the show was actually Outside the Lines. Like, that was the vibe, but the name emerged over time. But yeah, let's introduce our next guest. This is going to be packed. We're going to have like 6 of us in here when everyone's kind of said and done. But just give a big, warm welcome to the one and only Vinnie Adams from Disclosure Team. Hello,
hey guys, thank
Vinnie.
you so much for having me. Good to see you all.
Thank you so much for coming. It's awesome to have you. And we've done so much together as well. And, you know, you were on this show. You were gracious enough to tell the story from Colombia. that I was like, yeah, I can't do this without Brother Vinnie, you know?
Well, thank you so much. I hope everyone's having a great holiday. And yeah, I'm excited to get into some, seeing what's been going on throughout the year in the UFO world and some highlights and some lowlights. So yeah.
Yeah,
amazing.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Well, Vinnie, why don't you start us off? Give us your highlights of the year. We'll go on a positive note.
Yeah, it's been a strange year this year. I mean, it started off, I hark right back to January of 2025, and we had the announcement of Skywatcher and Jake Barber, which really set the precedent for what I believed at the time would be a really prominent year in moving forward with, getting towards disclosure. But, unfortunately that fizzled out somewhat. There were a lot of bold claims made from the Skywatcher team about, 12 months down the line, they'd have all this information and we'd be, further down the road. Didn't quite work out that way, but I know a lot of the team have kind of gone and done a lot of their own kind of work as well. So that's something. I'm still not ready to dismiss them completely. But then we had another hearing, with some incredible witnesses, testifying, Dylan Borland, this new name we hadn't heard before, with some incredible testimony. So that was a real big highlight for me. And of course, again, towards the start of the year, we had the announcement that the Age of Disclosure was coming soon, this big documentary with, I think, 30 plus government employees or former employees talking about what they know or what they can say about what they know about the UFO subject. And of course, we only really got that in November, but that was a big push at the end of the year. So they were the kind of main standouts. It seems to have been one of them years where there's a lot of ups, a lot of quiet periods. And so they were the ones that really stood out.
Yeah, for sure. I think all really good choices. Roz, what about you? Give me some of your highlights.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I'm a little biased because I just saw James Fox's re-released version of Moment of Contact. And I mean, I love James Fox. I love his work as a documentary filmmaker. And so anytime he releases anything, I'm all over it. So that for me was a highlight for sure. Of course, Age of Disclosure as well was amazing. We got to catch that when we were I was actually in Spain. We were in Europe for a couple of weeks, and so we got to watch it over there. And I mean, Dan, just being here with you, hosting the show, obviously.
Ah, shucks.
That's a pretty major highlight. Also, editing Vinny's story was a big highlight for me, I gotta say. That was amazing. Like putting that episode together and being able to hear your story and do that edit for the audience. And also, yeah, like just finally being able to, I think, discuss the subject, with a group of like-minded folks. I mean, Dale and I have both been interested in it for so long. And so being able to do the podcast with you, Dan, and have a space to actually discuss this, a safe space, no less, which is great, has just been awesome. So, yeah, I would say it's been a pretty epic year for me. All told.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how about you, Dale?
I'm going to rule with George and Jeremy. Those couple of bulldogs are doing amazing work, and I feel like from Investigation Alien, the series that Netflix did, kind of detailing George and some of his adventures and digging into some of the some cases that flash forward, the work that they've been doing behind the scenes, in particular Jeremy pushing with Congress, trying to get these hearings going and get momentum from that direction. I just feel like in the community, which can be fractured at times, everybody working on all these fronts and making real progress, digging in and causing cracks to form in many different ways. And, we're all just trying to allow George to get at the goodies, right? So, whatever it takes so that George can see the goodies, that's what we're doing. And, I think both of them deserve praise, and I think they're firing in all cylinders. Weaponized is great, and I'm really happy and proud for both of them, in particular George in his career, to continue to make strides, to testify, to be willing to throw names down on the table, to put himself out there and really stick his neck out in ways that he just does not have to do, but feels compelled to do or wishes to do, to put himself forward and to advance the cause, I think is just admirable. And a big shout out to both George and Jeremy.
Yeah, great suggestions, all of them. And yeah, absolute highlights of the year in a really chaotic and messy year, I think, especially in the UFO subject, but everywhere too. I'll throw you one of my highlights. I've got a few, but I'm going to spread them out. There are some runners up, so I'll just kind of work up to it. So
Amazing.
My first highlight is the work of Beatrice Villarreal, her work on transients, getting the first peer-reviewed paper for UFO related science was just a watershed moment, and I think it's going to echo for years to come. She shared her methodology, she shared her ideas. The only issue that anyone seems to have with it is the conclusion that it might be something alien. No one's really disagreeing that these things are there. And that's really because, she presented the data in a robust package that made a convincing argument, had that peer-reviewed, put it out. And so, yeah, big impact. And I expect more work to come from her that is just going to be wonderful as well. I know they're going down to... Beatrice and the group that she was doing that with are going down to the Baltic Sea anomaly to kind of scan it and look at it a bit closer. So that'll be real interesting because there's been debate around that for so long. And we just wanted someone to send like a little rover down, just check it out and have a look. And, if it's a rock formation, it's a rock formation. But we can take it off the table at the very least. If it's something more exotic and wonderful, cool. That's in the hand of scientists, in the hands of, public-facing people instead of people that have signed NDAs to keep this stuff secret. So fingers crossed we see that. I can see we've been joined by Gnosis in the chat. Hello, Gnosis. Gnosis is one of the old school people that I talk to from that UFO podcast. Also, Hollywood has come in. David Pierce as well. He was in one of our contact episodes, which is awesome. And we actually have our next guest has come on just in time. Yes. So I'm going to get you guys to give a massively warm welcome to the person who gave you so much pleasure watching his movie, the writer of the Mothman Prophecies movie, the host of Richard Hatem's Paranormal podcast. I've given his name away there, but please welcome Richard Hatem.
Woo! I got to applaud for everybody.
Richard.
Hey, hello, hang on a second. I can't hear you guys. This might be my problem, though. Hang on one second.
All right. We're not the only ones with technical difficulties today.
But I'm loving Richard's
live.
Christmas lights here.
Yes, totally amazing. Can you hear us now?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Loud and clear, Richard. How are you doing,
Thank
my
you.
friend?
Right,
how was
Thankfully,
your Christmas?
he didn't have to unplug the Christmas lights in order to get the audio working.
No. That would be awesome.
Yay. Welcome, Richard.
Cheers,
I was
folks.
applauding.
Cheers.
When you showed up. Yes, cheers.
I have mine in a mug here.
Mm-hmm. What does everybody have in their
for
mugs?
The audience to drink.
Should we go around with what are we allowed to
let's
say?
go for it.
This is YouTube.
I know
it's
Richard's
not like
is going to be
broadcast.
elaborate here, so we're going to save Richard's for last. Vinny, what are you drinking?
I'm not drinking
Hopefully
right
there'll
now.
still be some left.
Oh, okay.
Vinny is teetotaling. Okay.
Shampoo.
All right.
Vinny is the healthy one. Nice. Shampoo.
This is
I've
coffee
got a
and
little
Bailey's.
Irish. Oh, snap bras. We
Is that
didn't
what you're
coordinate that at all. Wow.
Amazing. Of course.
I'm just doing classic Canadian craft beer. That's
Very nice choice.
Nice.
And Richard, woo us all with your mad cocktail making skills.
This is Santa's Revenge.
Santa's Revenge.
perfect name for a cocktail on the 29th.
This is what you and I might call on any other day of the year a paper plane. Have you ever had a paper plane?
No.
I haven't, no. What does it consist of?
This thing is delicious. This thing is 4 ingredients, all of equal portions. Bourbon, I'm using Larceny. Amaro Nonino. Aperol, which is a bitter orange liqueur, Italian. And lemon juice. And I'm using the juice of a fresh lemon from my backyard here in Pasadena.
Oh my gosh.
You put all these things together, and it tastes shockingly like grapefruit.
Oh, wow.
That
I can see that.
sounds
The acidity. Yeah, it's like sharp
lovely.
and fresh.
Dan, you weren't
Yeah.
kidding. Richard really is the
Yeah,
cocktail
no,
master.
like-
Yeah.
Richard, as well as being podcast host extraordinaire and incredibly accomplished movie and television writer.
Did everybody get that? Or recipe has to go into the chat? Is that?
Oh,
the,
yes.
That'll be
yeah,
the show
nice.
notes.
Yeah, we'll
I,
do that so people can.
Dan told me, he's like, get festive, get merry, make a drink, feel free. And I'm like, dude, it's like 8 a.m. No, it's not. It's like 1 in the afternoon. But still,
I forget about the time difference, Richard. I always forget.
One's a little early for me, but not. That's not out of the question.
Oh my god.
Well, it's happy hour somewhere, so the saying goes, right?
Yeah, it's happy hour right
Santa's
now, guys.
Revenge. I love it. Santa's Revenge.
That's right. That's right.
fantastic.
Santa's Revenge.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Can I jump in real quick, Richard, and just say,
Please do.
your episode was like one of my favorite moments of the season. I loved listening in on it. I was in the background, so I was just listening to you and Dan chatting, but I just found it so interesting, and I love just the way you were chatting with him, especially about the Bigfoot footage was like your favorite footage, right? Was it the Henderson footage? Is that what that's called?
Was it the
Patterson
Patterson Gimlin, I think,
Patterson,
right?
Patterson Gimlin.
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
right.
Yeah, that being your
You're
favorite.
thinking of Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Which is actually a
Screenwriter.
feature
That's
film.
an amazing reference.
Screenwriter has entered the chat. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
If you study the Henderson footage, you'll notice.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I really want to see like a full-on lecture from someone really, learned expert on Bigfoot, just messing that one word up.
That'd be amazing. That would be
great.
amazing. Yes. No, but your interview was so awesome, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So thanks for joining us for our first season. It was awesome.
Oh, my
And for
pleasure.
tonight,
I'm
too.
so glad.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to. I mean, Dan's a legit, member of the family, and when he said he was going to do his own show, it was like, yeah, I'm there. Let me know.
Amazing.
Just like now, just let me know.
No,
Amazing.
super kind of you, Richard. And I know you're always busy, and that goes for everyone on this live stream, anyone listening, watching, typing in the live chat. Just thank you for giving us your time. Like it's deeply appreciated. It doesn't go unnoticed. Richard, we've kind of gone around the room, and I'm gonna ask you the same question. What are some of the highlights of your year this year?
Well, sort of the biggest highlight, certainly podcast related, was the tour we did in September. Where I saw you. I saw you in Washington, D.C.
That's right. We met. Yeah.
Yeah, you and Elena. That was so fun. It was at the bookstore. Oh God, why am I blanking on it? This is really bad. I should be able to plug the bookstore. It'll come to me during the conversation, I'm sure. Anyway, but you and I were there. Scott Philbrook, Tess was there. Kayla Lord, certainly my wife Susan. That was really fun. Being able to sort of get around and meet people, and then the highlight within the highlight, besides of course meeting you in person, which was just a dream since childhood. Was the Mothman Festival, which I had never been to and finally made it to this year. And it was a truly, beyond being enjoyable, such a moving experience to be there in Point Pleasant, to meet people. I met witnesses from the original, 1966 Mothman sightings. I met a woman who was one of the people, and then meeting Jeff Walmsley, who not only started the festival but owns and runs the Mothman Museum. And I got to tell you, it's actually a museum, and it's like a really good museum. I was kind of expecting it to be sort of a glorified gift shop. It's got a ton of stuff, and not just about the movie, but about the original sightings, original like hand-typed pages out of John Keel's typewriter. But what really blew me away were the handwritten reports of people who had seen Mothman within 24 hours of their sighting. This is reporting to the police and then being told, write down what you saw, and they're writing it down. These are yellowed pieces of school notebook paper from 1966. Decades go by with these things, and as years go by and things become popularized as myth and folklore, it's easy to just sort of go, oh, well, that's just everyone's kind of, hopping on some story that got told years ago that has no bearing on the truth. Then you see a piece of paper that was written by someone who saw something that day, 60 years ago.
Right.
And it suddenly hits you like a 2x4 between the eyes. This really happened. People saw things. And, then guys like me come along and, make a movie that's, it's based on the story, but isn't really reflecting those actual events. Those events happened to actual people. And when you're there and you can still see the debris from the bridge collapse, and you're meeting people who lost people that day, it's all very real. And then to see the town itself come together, again, decades later, throwing this festival, businesses opening back up on Main Street, others planning on opening up. The hotel is being completely redone. The theater is being completely redone. It's really a moving experience. If you have a chance to get to Point Pleasant, if you have any interest in the story at all, this will change the way you think about it and the way you feel about it. So going to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, as part of that tour, definitely a highlight of my year.
That's very cool.
Wow.
And yeah,
Wow.
I haven't been to the festival, but we went to the museum, and I couldn't agree more with you. You go in through a little gift shop, don't get me wrong, but it is so worth it. And out of all the, esoteric alien museums I've been to across the USA, it stands as probably one of my top 3, if not my favorite. For the very reasons you said, just those witness testimonies, the newspaper clippings, it turns something that's just a story that you've heard from watching like YouTube or, whatnot, into something really tangible and real. But it is time for our final guest to join us. And I know people in the audience will be excited to hear from this guy too. I'm really excited to introduce you, and you will all meet at the wedding. In 6 months now. Oh God, there's so much planning to do. But yeah,
No stress.
give a big warm welcome to the one and only Luis Elizondo. He
What?
should pop up any second. Oh
I
wait,
got to do a big round of applause. Yeah. Yes, now?
that's it.
Now?
Here we
Wait
go.
for it.
Should be popping up in 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Look at this. The
course,
IC
live.
agent is the mysterious one. Yeah, we're just gonna get the voice and a voice changer.
That's right. Something wrong with the feed. Yay!
Yeah. Here we go. Lou, how are you doing?
Amazing.
Hey guys, how are we doing? Thanks for having me.
Thank you
my
for
gosh.
joining us.
Thanks
This
for
was such a
coming.
last minute thing to have you on, and you were so gracious to give us your time and just
Actually,
As
Dan
I
didn't
was
tell you, I had to beg and cry and scream to get on. So no, I'm just kidding. So how's everybody doing?
shucks.
Heard any good jokes?
Awesome.
there?
Very well.
Holidays. Yes, Richard is drinking a Santa's Revenge. We found this out just a few minutes
This
ago.
is his own recipe, though.
That's right.
He's
May I ask
rebranded
Richard?
a cocktail.
May I ask Richard what precisely is in a Santa's Revenge? I can only imagine.
Lou,
but
I've
I'm
already
curious.
given out the recipe. I can't repeat it every 5 minutes. Jesus.
Understood. But is it like a gin drink? Is it a tequila? A vodka? What is it?
For you, I'll do it. Okay. Do you have a pencil to write this down? You're going to
I have
want
something
this.
better. I have my smartphone that I can record actually what you're saying.
I'm going to put it in the
God,
chat.
okay. Damn, you're really up to date. Okay, it's equal 4 ingredients, equal parts. Bourbon, Amaro Nonino, which is like an herbal liqueur, but you can get it anywhere. You can get it at Bevmo. You probably get it at the supermarket. Aperol, which is the bitter orange liqueur. Oh, Lou's nodding, he knows. And lemon juice, and that's it. And
Wow.
it is delicious. It really is.
Wow.
I recommend don't walk, run to your nearest cocktail lounge or
Sure.
liquor store and make yourself
I
up
might
one
know
of these.
one or two in the local area.
Lou actually
know.
has his
Good
own
to
bar,
know.
Rich. So when you come for the wedding, we will all be celebrating in that bar together, and I'm sure we'll be trying to keep you from behind the bar for most of the night.
Oh no, I will be making up some special drinks.
Richard, you can bartend.
I will bartend. That'll be my gift. I won't
There you
Vinny,
go.
great to see you as always, my friend.
Good to see you, Lou.
Oh my gosh. Somebody in the chat just said UFO cooking show. Go.
I love it. Let's do
God.
it,
That's a great
right?
idea.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be wonderful.
It's on.
Elena and I have had this idea for a cooking show called Cooking with Conspiracies, where we just talk about conspiracies whilst cooking great meals. We could also do cocktails and conspiracies, like they're just there for the taking. I would watch those things.
That's genius.
That's
Guys,
awesome.
it's right there. This is low-hanging fruit. We got to get in on this.
Oh, absolutely. It'd probably be more like, I think, a dysfunctional reality show, though. Can you imagine with food? With the moment you get two ufologists together, within 5 minutes they're going to disagree, and you got about 5 minutes after that before you start a food fight.
That's right. Every episode ends
We'll
with
just
a
build
food
into the
fight.
show.
Right.
Yeah, it's discussion plus food fight. It's like drunk history, but it just goes into chaos.
Amazing.
So, Lou,
So, folks, how's
what-
everybody doing? You guys
Good,
ready for the
thank
new
you.
year? Everybody out there in your audience, everybody a big thumbs up? Everybody ready to get rid of 2025 and move to 2026?
Definitely.
Oh, yes.
I think we've all had a guts full of 2025. Am I right?
Yeah, I've had my fill for sure. So I'm looking forward to ringing in the new year and kind of putting in the past 2025.
Yeah, I hear you. Give me some of your highlights of the year, Lou. Just for you and maybe in UFOs as well. Like, just feel free, go for it.
My biggest highlight it's engaging like this with people, good people who are curious, intellectually curious, maybe even a little suspicious, of where we are now as a society and some decisions that are being made on our behalf by governments and institutions and religions. I very much enjoy this one-on-one interaction. There's people right now that are listening to this, and I always want to reinforce that they're very much part of this conversation, right? A lot of people say, well, I'm not on the TV there with Lou having this conversation on this podcast, but they are. You really are. And I'm speaking to you directly, not the folks here right now on this podcast, but those of you who are listening. You are very much part of this conversation. In fact, you are very much the reason why we have come this far in just the 8 years that we've been doing this. And it's important because you're the folks that are having the conversation around the dinner tables, and you're having the conversations around the water coolers at work, and it's making a difference, a huge difference. And having the ability to reach out and engage people on a daily basis like that is one of my highlights. It's not getting certain laws passed. It's not going to Washington, D.C. and rubbing elbows with politicians or anything like that. It's actually being able to engage one-on-one with average people, the core of this movement. That's what I get the most out of. And every time I get a chance to go on the road and meet people, it truly is a wonderful experience and a very humbling experience, right? It kind of reminds you why we're doing this in the first place, why all of us are doing this. And so that really invigorates me. That gives me a lot of energy to continue doing what I'm doing. Because I can tell you, there's times where I definitely second guess myself whether or not it was right for me to come out like the way I did, some 8 years ago. But that's usually very short-lived. I just have to talk to one or two people on the street, and usually they're very, very kind and just super, super people to engage with. And that's my highlight for 2025. How about you guys?
Nice.
That's lovely.
Yeah, we've been sharing some, so let's share another highlight. I shared one. I'm gonna share. This is my top highlight of the year, and it was to do with the asteroid Bennu and the results the scientists got from it, where we basically, at this point, have found every single ingredient for life on meteors just flying through the cosmos. So panspermia is no longer a question mark. It is an absolute. And the ingredients for life are just all around us in the universe. So it's no longer a kind of an outlier opinion to think that there's life on other planets. It's probably true now, and scientists are kind of getting on board. And it's a real good example of a really quiet paradigm shift in moments that isn't, there are no headlines for it. There are no kind of breaking news, everyone stop what you're doing, there could be life out there. But it's going to have a huge impact going forward on how we look at the cosmos, I would say.
All right. What about you, Roz?
Totally. Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, I already said Age of Disclosure, Lou. You weren't on. But that
Come
doc
on, you
was...
say that to all the boys. Come on.
Well, maybe.
Stop it.
No,
You're
I'm
making me
just kidding.
blush.
No.
You say it. I know you mean it.
No,
Totally
she
mean
said it before. She said it before. I vouch for it.
It was amazing. We were in Europe, Dale and I. Dale's my husband, by the way. And we've been following your work for a long time. Like, this is a real exciting moment for us to meet you here, even, via the internets. But yeah, we watched it in Europe, and it was just, we started kind of poking around in this subject in about 2015, and we interviewed Stanton Friedman and we interviewed Richard Dolan, and it was before this topic had really taken off. And Dale and I both felt kind of like we were watching all the James Fox documentaries and kind of into this subject, but there wasn't really a big buzz around it. And so to see the Age of Disclosure in that film and your work within it was just it felt like a watershed moment. Dan mentioned that about Beatrice's work earlier. It felt like one of those moments to me. It's like, wow, this is really coming full circle. Like, how amazing is this?
Ross, I really appreciate
yeah.
that very much. But let me say that my hope is that Age of Disclosure serves as a foundation for many, many more projects, hopefully from projects from folks like you that can piggyback off of that and use it as a springboard to continue to propel the conversation forward. So if at a minimum, if the movie has succeeded in doing that, then I consider that a success. And it's really designed for really to be, again, used as a springboard for folks like you.
Oh, well, thanks. It's very inspiring. And somebody in the chat actually just said, that the other podcasts, they've started podcasts, also in part due to your work, right? So I think you're inspiring people, right, to continue that conversation, to get out there. And, I remember watching the To the Stars, launch when that all happened. And I remember Dale and I just being like, wow, can you believe this is happening? Like, people are actually talking about this in a big way. It's so exciting. So, yeah, you've been inspirational to a lot of people.
Well, I appreciate
that.
So
good on
you.
you.
Of course, you all are inspirational to me and your audience and everybody out there. And so it's kind of cyclical, right? It kind of, I may put something out that inspires maybe somebody, and somebody else puts something out that inspires me. And we all kind of move forward. I call it, all ships rise with the tide. That is, unless you have a hole in the bottom of your boat, then you're not going to really go very far. But most boats rise with the tide, right? And so that's what we're trying to do, is create an environment where everybody can rise up together. How about you, Dale? What about you? What's 2025? What's your big moment?
Well, I was saying that I was giving a lot of praise to George and Jeremy for their work and the continued work, both on the journalism side and then moving things forward and collaborating wherever they can collaborate to try and move discussion forward. But I think Dan brought up Beatrice's work, and I just think it's absolutely fascinating as well to think about Beatrice. Is it Via Royale?
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
Just like
she's doing excellent work.
Yeah,
she's doing excellent work.
It's Roz. Kind of like we were driving somewhere, and Roz was like, it's one of those like where these. Stanton Friedman remarked about this sometimes, but that is like these innovations happen. These. From somebody thinking completely differently, doing something completely differently and approaching it in a really novel way. And she kind of stumbled upon it in an innocent investigatory way and then really went for it. And as Dan alluded to before, some people don't like the conclusion that she's arrived at, but she's really just used deductive reasoning and saying, well, we've ruled out all this other stuff. So unless you've got a better explanation, physical nuts and bolts vehicles that are glinting sunlight, like that's the best explanation I've got right now. Prove me wrong. Here's the data. And
No,
I
you're
haven't
right.
seen
You're right,
anybody
Dale.
prove anything wrong. So like
And-
that's an amazing contribution to the community.
It is. It's great to see all the gals involved, like you said, and also Helen McCaw and these other folks that are really from their areas of expertise helping drive this conversation, like you, Roz, others. It's really wonderful to see that, isn't it? And folks like Beatrice that are really making a purposeful impact on this conversation. I could not agree with you more, Dale, 100%. How about you, Richard? What about you? What would you say for 2025 a highlight for you is or was?
I was talking a little earlier, just before you came on, about doing a bit of a podcast tour and going to Point Pleasant. But this most recent conversation since you've arrived reminded me really of something that occurred on Christmas Eve. I have a party at my house on Christmas Eve every year, sort of a big open house, and people I haven't seen all year, that's when I see them. But one guy, as he was leaving just before midnight, came staggering out of my office, because people like to sort of kind of take a little trip through and look at the bookshelf. And he's like, I was looking at your bookshelf and all the books and the UFO stuff, and I've been hearing a lot of UFO stuff. So I got to ask you, do I need to be worried? And I said to him, and I hope I said the right thing, no, you don't need to be worried. You don't need to be worried. All of these things, whether we know everything about them or just a little about them, are part of our world and always have been.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
And the to sort of dogleg off of UFOs into afterlife research, the end of the story seems to be good. I don't think we need to be worried about anything. I think what we're doing here in this life, this is the test. This is the hard part. Right. And I think our job is to make our lives and everyone else's lives easier and better. Yeah. And if you do that, you got nothing to worry about. And as scary as the future seems, I think it's going to be good.
But you're right, Rich. I mean, there's no really reason to fear the truth, right? The truth is neither good nor bad. It is what it is, and it's really human interpretation of that we kind of infer as being either positive or negative. But the reality is, truth is agnostic. It doesn't care. It's not. It is what it is, and it's really up to us to determine how we interpret that information and how we apply it to our lives. And I agree with you. Fear is a natural reaction in the absence of information. Right, we are very insecure as creatures, as a species. We always like to know where we are at any given time, whether it's through GPS or sitting in a north, south, east, west grid in a city. And right, we have all these street signs to tell us where to go and how fast to go and where we are. But the reality is that that's not at all the way the universe is. I mean, we are, if you look at it, I always tell people, if you get a chance, look at pale blue dot, type in pale blue dot on Google and take a look at that for a minute. What you're going to see is this screen of inky blackness with this maybe 1 or 2 pixel blue dot in the middle. And that's Earth. And that's everything that we've ever considered, everything we've ever taught and ourselves and learned, and every war we've ever fought, and every person that's ever lived and ever died, and every person been born and loved and hated, and everything. Every moment of human history, in fact, world history, occurred on that tiny little blue dot, right? And if you really think about it, here's this little fragile blue dot that's hurtling around at several, very, very fast around some obscure little star we call the sun, which is floating around some obscure part of one of the bands of a radial galaxy that we happen to call the Milky Way, that's among billions of others, right? So that's really the reality of where we are, and people don't freak out. Why? Because the reality is that it's really not that scary. It may create a little anxiety at first, but when you realize, hey, look, we've been here for a long time. We're probably going to be here for a long time unless we do something to ourselves. And chances are, it's okay. Learning new paradigms should never be something or experiencing new paradigms shouldn't be something that we necessarily fear. I've used this before, Richard. I'm going to shut up here in a second because I want to get to Vinnie too and everybody else. And I didn't mean to hijack your podcast. Forgive me, but I find this very interesting.
No, you're the host now, Lou. You carry on.
Richard, we talk about this topic and what it means to humanity. And it really depends on how you were raised and philosophically and theologically and psychologically. It affects people differently. And I've said before that, there are some people who they say they want the truth, but in reality, they don't. And there's examples I've used before, and I think people misconstrued what I was trying to say. You go to the doctor and you're like, hey, I feel great, doctor. How'd my blood test come out, right? I want to know. He's like, okay, you want to know the results? Yeah, I want to know. Well, guess what? You got stage 4 cancer. Ooh, shucks. Maybe that's the truth I didn't want to know. Now, the reality is, I think we do. At the end, we should know. I do not think just because the news might be good or bad the way we interpret it, because there's always advantages to knowing information. Maybe if I've got stage 4 cancer, maybe I've got a chance to beat it, right? Maybe I can go get some sort of or a second opinion. Same thing is, there's multiple examples where people say, oh, I wish maybe I didn't know the truth. But I disagree with that perspective. I think we can handle the truth. I think we deserve to know the truth, whatever that truth is, and let the chips fall where they fall, and let people decide for themselves how to internalize that information and apply it to what it means to them personally in their own lives. So that's my perspective. I think we can handle the truth, and I think people deserve to know the truth. So I agree with you, Richard.
Well put.
Vinny.
Well put.
Hello.
You're next to Matt.
Okay. Well, I mentioned a few highlights in general from the UFO world, but, bringing it down to a personal level, it's been a bit of a full circle year for me. I remember going back to my early days when I first got or encountered this subject in the early 2010s, and I would listen to lectures, and I would listen to the live lectures from Contact in the Desert way back in the day, and I always said I would love to attend that event, and then here we are, 2025. I not only got to attend it, I got to host some incredible panel discussions in front of loads of people, meet some incredible researchers like Richard Dolan, Ross Coulthart, Jeremy Corbell.
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately, it was the in-between moments where I had all the different attendees coming up to me, and I would sit and have these really great, deep conversations face-to-face with people. And, I love podcasting and being on screens and shows like this, but there's something completely different when you're sat in front of somebody in real life having these conversations, not behind a keyboard. It's as real as it gets. So that was really a main personal highlight when it comes to this subject.
Oh, that's fantastic. I agree with you. I love that personal interaction. I think really that's where the magic happens. A lot of times we get lost behind our screens, and, sometimes we as a species pick up bad habits behind the screen. But when you have that personal one-on-one interaction, I think, there's a little bit more connective tissue that occurs that doesn't happen when you're talking over a screen like this and you're separated by potentially thousands of miles, and basically you're just sending electrons back and forth. It's different than reaching out and shaking someone's hand, isn't it? And or hugging them, right? And learning a little bit about their walk through life and their journey.
Sure.
I agree with that.
Ultimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, I was going to shut up now, so.
Well, so when we do these episodes, Roz and I usually do something called UFO or UFNO, where we just play a UFO video and we talk about it. And Lou, I totally understand if you want to refrain from commenting, because I know what people are going to be like if you happen to get it wrong or say like, oh, something that isn't. So feel free to sit this one out and just observe how we all interpret it in different ways if you want to. Totally understand. But I'm going to play that now. Audience, you're very welcome to chime in too, and let's see how this goes. I think this should play here.
What?
So,
come on.
Is once okay? Do you guys want to see it again?
Let's see it again.
I want to see it forever.
Oh, Lou didn't see it. Lou didn't see
I
it.
know what this is. I
you
know
didn't
what
see
it
it
is.
at all?
It was
I know.
amazing.
It's the Henderson film, Richard.
It's the Henderson film.
Harry.
Bigfoot Henderson
It looks
movie.
like it looks like Joe Baldwin's Light. It looks like this picture in that book Ghosts and Specters. Where
Oh
it's,
yeah, for sure.
it's the train tracks disappearing into the horizon, and then the weird light. And there's always weird light phenomenon around train tracks, and I wonder if it's not ball lightning and the presence of metal, but at the same time,
100%. I'm going with ball lightning. I'm going with ball lightning.
Oh, I mean, that was
It's
ball
a
lightning,
UFO.
right? I mean, I'm sorry. Was there a question? I think
gotta-
that's what they call ball lightning.
I think AI. I'm like, that's AI. That's
AI? Okay.
my
Oh, it's AI
prediction.
ball lightning.
Dan,
Now
you got
we
to
need
play it
AI.
again.
Interesting.
Can you play it again?
Okay, I'll
Well,
play
I
it
mean-
one more time.
Okay.
But it's supposed to
Okay.
be ball lightning, right?
Did you see it that time, Lou?
I have a real excuse. For some reason, all I see is a big picture of Richard popped up, and then he disappeared. Then some sort of
You're welcome.
That's anomalous.
And that's it. So honestly, I can stay
Better,
in
and
good
believe me,
faith.
this ain't AI.
I have no
AI
idea,
couldn't do
guys.
this. AI wouldn't do this.
Wow.
Okay.
Usually we save this for the end of shows, but I will reveal to
Yes.
you all right now what this is.
Okay.
So obviously, I'm not going to share my opinion because I know.
Yeah.
But hold on, damn it! Always the digital gremlins when it's live.
Dan has
right?
tricked me before with UFO or UFO, so I'm very leery now. The first time we did this, I was like, "Oh, legit, that's for real," and then it was a fisherman or something. It's like, okay, I'm never.
Hey, and you know what,
He
Roz?
set you up.
There's a good lesson there because I've been in that same situation before where I've had people with really incredible credentials coming to me and saying, "Hey, this is legit. This is an example," and not spending a little bit of extra time doing the due diligence because what I did is I assumed that from the source that the information would be accurate because. Well, that's what I would have done if I was in that position, right? Well, and it's come back to burn me. So, these are lessons I think that are great for all of us,
Yes.
And I tell people, I'm not just a client. I'm the president of that club, right? I'm also I know that really well. So you got to be, especially today's day and age with AI, you really got to be careful because there's some really significant deep fakes out there that can be extremely compelling and convincing.
Totally
I just want to
agree.
say it's super helpful because when you point to this, what you're pointing at as well is that we really need, and it's something that I think you have done, Lou, Chris Mellon. There's efforts to get chain of command, chain of custody, release of materials because we want to be able to unquestionably know we're looking at a bona fide unknown. We don't need to know exactly what it is. We just want to know this is genuine. This is a genuine unknown. Okay, wow, that's the real phenomenon that we're talking about in the age of AI and the internet and all the spoofs and all the charlatans and all the fakes. We want some source. So if anything out of government too, we're like, we just want some, we don't need to know every detail. We want to know that you say that this is real. And
that's why
what we're
it's
really
really
doing.
when you can have sources that are coming from actual U.S. weapon systems and intelligence systems, you have that extra degree of vetting, right? And so you're right. And that's why those are so compelling. And I think why people are hungry to get the videos that are in the possession of the government, right? I mean, it's great to see videos that people take all the time on their cell phones and whatnot, but there again lies the issue that we have with now deep fakes and artificial intelligence and hucksters and whatnot. So it's a tough nut to crack, but I'll tell you, you bring up something really interesting, Dale, and Roz too, and actually everybody here. Maybe the time has come for us to recommend to the government, maybe it's the National Archives, maybe it's another, some sort of analytic body that is comprised of academia and some elements maybe in the U.S. government and others that can vet videos, right? And say, okay, look, with a good degree of certainty, this is a B plus, right? We've done everything and we're pretty sure that this is a real video, right? Then you can have some grade, well, this is probably a C minus, or hey, this is an A plus. This came from this system and it wasn't, that might be something worth considering too in the community, that we have this grading system maybe. And look, maybe I'm going to say something here that's going to be controversial. People are probably going to want to throw a tomato at me, but as vicious as platforms like Reddit can be sometimes, there's a lot of good crowdsourcing on Reddit, right? So you can actually leverage some of that talent and try to get people to really look at it. That Wikipedia tried to do that in the beginning, and unfortunately it got hijacked. And now Wikipedia is, you never know what the hell you're reading because half the time people have an agenda and they're leaving information out or they're putting information in that's not accurate. So, but how Wikipedia kind of started as kind of a crowdsourcing, I wonder if there's an option there for the UFO community to kind of create something similar, but have the rigor of actual trained experts that aren't trying to hijack the conversation and the narrative and try to be these cults of personality, but really like a clearinghouse to assess videos and photographs to really look at the next level of detail to determine, hey, is this something that we should really be paying attention to, or are we being thrown a red herring here?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And there are some apps popping up that let you do that. The Nano app just launched a few months back, where it's like the idea is crowdsourcing stuff, and there'll be a reliability rating with the the footage or the sighting or the story and that kind of thing. So we need to move more towards that. Like we said, with the chain of custody, with the expert opinions and things like that, because even this one, I only know what this is because I've looked deeply at it. It's years and years old.
You said it was ball lightning on a train track. Let me ask you: did you know? I didn't see the video, but is it like a European electrified train track where they have electric on top, or is it more like an Americanized where you have like a diesel locomotive? And I asked that for a very specific reason.
Electric on top.
Okay, so you might have some sort of correlation there with ball lightning potentially. There has been some ball lightning that seems to follow electrical lines and eventually can actually follow them into a transformer and blow them up, believe it or not. So we got one here. Nanu is on it. Okay, let's check out Nanu then in the future. That might be a good option.
I will just say as well. Sorry.
No, that's it. It was just a little piece of a nugget of information for you there, maybe to consider.
No worries. I've not wanted to comment on the video because it did come up in our research before we did our first trip to Colombia, where we were investigating a light phenomenon, and this was something that we compared early on. So I do know the backstory to this video.
That's right. So I can reveal that this particular video is a creation by someone named Andrei Trakonovets, and he made it as part of his degree in school. And he didn't intend to trick anyone. He put it on the internet. So it's not AI. He manually did it. But he wasn't far off. And it's I. It's the I in AI.
HI.
And he put it online. And people have taken it and they push it as a real UFO video. And this is something we see happen time and time and time again. And I always wonder when we do UFO, UFO, especially like that fishing line one where it was the blue light going crazy. It looked like in the sky, but it turned out it was just a light on the end of someone's fishing line as they were casting their rod. And so it just looked insane. Someone could clip that and push it as UFO content, and there are plenty of channels that do that. I think, Lou, you hit the nail on the head once when you said that ufology in its current form kind of needs to burn. If you go on Twitter or X or whatever it is, it's just all infighting and drama, and it's not getting anyone anywhere, right?
I mean, it's terrible. It's its own worst enemy, Dan. People are saying, well, why don't we know the truth? Well, okay, say, man, but part of the problem is we got to look in the mirror. I mean, part of the way we treat each other, that division is being exploited by external forces right now to divide and conquer. And it's these, this cults of personality. People say, I'm the only one that has the answer, and I'm the only one. You listen to my narrative. Everybody else are disinfo agents. That's not helpful. That type of behavior is reckless behavior. It's not helpful to the cause. And anybody who behaves that way, I've got to wonder: do you have your own self-interest at heart, or do you have disclosure as your interest? Because it doesn't seem like disclosure is your priority.
I really hope the community focuses more on the work that, say, for example, Beatrice, Gary Nolan is doing, the Soul Foundation, is to go, if you want some authority and some credibility, let's listen to these folks. They're giving it an honest try, and they're trying to bring the scientific discipline to it. And, to focus more on the bigger picture, which is we need good data. How do we get good data?
Right.
Where can we find, and then we need the right instrumentation and the right techniques and methods to validate that data. And that's what from the phenomenon point of view of proof and evidence, that's where we need to go for that. And then on the communication side, all of what we're doing right now, all of podcasts, it's going to be discourse, and that discourse is a bit muddy, but that's about understanding what we're seeing and understanding what we're observing and contemplating what it means to be human in the context of UFOs.
Take a drink.
And so we need to separate those two things, the wheat and the chaff here, and go when we're dealing with nuts and bolts and evidence and information, here's where we go, and these are the authorities that we listen to. We shouldn't speculate. Otherwise, they know what they're doing. And here are the authorities on this side, right? in discourse and communication, and that's what we're talking about here. We're battling ideas around,
Yeah, I think you're right. So organizations like the Soul Foundation, organizations like the UAP, Disclosure Foundation, UAPDF, with Chris Mellon and those folks, I think they're all doing tremendous work. And you're seeing this grassroots effort kind of spring out just organically. And it's really making a big difference. When I go to Washington, D.C., everybody knows Soul Foundation. Everybody knows UAPDF. Everybody, I mean, they're listening. And so it's very, very effective. And a lot of these podcasts here that you might not think anybody's really in D.C. is listening to, you'd be surprised. There's quite a few folks in D.C. and in positions of influence that actually listen to these podcasts that you're doing.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask the audience for questions for the guests, but Richard was going to say something, so I just wanted to give Richard the opportunity. But write your questions in, just write question, and we'll highlight them. And Richard, shoot.
Well, I was just going to ask if anybody in Washington is listening to my podcast, but that's okay. I've got my answer. I was in Washington with Dan. There was a couple people there. So
I listened to your show in Washington, so technically it's a yes.
Done. The answer is yes. It's with our ability to have cameras with us at all times, it feels like, oh, well, then photographic evidence will follow of whatever, ghosts or Bigfoot or UFOs. It hasn't really. Because at the same time, with that technology comes the technology to fake all that stuff. And yet there's only two groups of people who are no longer questioning. That is the people who have actually experienced something, UFO, NDE, ADC, after death communication, maybe someone who feels they have seen a cryptid and felt what that feels like in real life. Those people don't question it. People with NDEs, they're not looking for exterior confirmation. They've experienced something. It meant something to them. They have their answer. The other people, I think, and it's coming up in the chat, are the people who have already decided what they want to believe, and now they're just working on further and further degrees of self-delusion.
Right.
And we are living in an age where it's going to be very difficult to say, based on this photograph or this video, I'm now using that as a building block to my knowledge or my idea of what is real in the world.
That's right.
You can't, and unfortunately you actually can't, although some people like to think you can't just go out in the woods and hope for an experience and have a legitimate experience. You can pretend, but you either have it or you don't. And I don't think we get to choose that.
Yeah, well, I always tell people, how many people in real life have actually seen a blue whale, that's out in the middle of the ocean on migration.
Right.
Very few, and yet, they're very real. And so, but you're right, because we are a society that emphasizes seeing is believing and personal experiences, and I understand that. I'm very much to some degree that way myself, but we also have to recognize that, look, cryptids are being discovered all the time, right? The species that we thought were long extinct, it's almost on a weekly basis. You see a report like, oh my gosh, we just saw, here's a picture of a creature that we thought has been extinct for 100 years, and look, here it is in someone's backyard, eating out of a garbage can or something. So if there's one thing that we usually get right at first, is that we're usually wrong. At first, that's one thing that's fairly consistent with our species.
God, we got to get that on T-shirts. That sounds like John Keel.
And in my case with my wife, I'm wrong a lot more often than that too.
Oh, Dale would agree. Yeah.
Well, somebody I know speaks about 5 observables, and one of them is low observability, and it doesn't get talked about enough. And in the context of what you're talking about, Richard, like for all these phenomena, they typically have low observability characteristics to them. And so again, we all have to give each other like a little bit more slack on the fact that you might share something, look at UFO or UFO that Roz and Dan do. The idea is like you can be taken for a run. You could really be convinced based on this footage that this is a genuine phenomena, and then find out no, this isn't the genuine phenomena. This is ball lightning or something to that effect, right? So, I mean, it's just we need to take a step back and realize for these subjects, there's a high degree of low observability, and it happens in many different ways. And that in and of itself is a quality to this whole thing that it's easy to say, oh, how come all the cameras on everyone's phones are getting so much better, but we don't have better footage, what have you. And I mean, Hal Puthoff talks about it in Age of Disclosure that like the very characteristic potentially energy systems around the crafts themselves will continue to fuzz out the vehicles. Like it won't matter how, right? All we're going to get is better detail on how low observability works for these things. So
well put, Dale. Very, very insightful. You're absolutely right. You know, I think we might get more fidelity on the low observability and the fact that it's actually blurrier than we thought in real life than it is even on camera. But that's something that Hal had discussed about this warp bubble. Basically interfering with human perception. Very much like looking at koi fish, as I've always said, underneath a pond, right? They look distorted and wavy, but of course the koi fish aren't distorted and wavy. That's our perception, because the way light is interacting with the surface of the water through reflection and refraction, and the distortion of wavelengths, what comes back and bounces back to your eye, you get a distorted image, right? And it doesn't matter how good your camera is. The fact is that the koi fish is underwater, it's going to come out blurry. You're going to get a distorted image. And so that has been the consensus by a lot of the scientists, certainly back in ATIP and before that OSAP and even later on in the UAP task force. I don't know if they're still following that thread with Arrow. I presume so, but I could be incorrect. But that's a really good point, folks. You're going to have to forgive me because right now it's on my end. I've got 2 more minutes, and then I have to jump. I actually have a business I have to run, so I actually have to go and start mopping floors here shortly. And
it's all good.
Yeah, very glamorous life of Luis Elizondo, right?
Is that
The glamour is
the grift continues as Lou is mopping the floors, right? Exactly. Yeah.
Let me get one question to you, Lou, before you go.
Mopping,
I promised
grifting, no.
I promised I'd ask this one, and it's a good one, but it's a little long to read, but I think you'll vibe with it. So the question is, Mr. Elizondo, in a February post on X, this person asked you if you'd ever met Major General Albert Stubblebine III, to which you said, "You mean old Spoonbender? An absolute legend." He's also mentioned in your book. In Imminent, Lou also said in his second assignment that it was the 902nd Military Intelligence Group, which was the same unit that Stubblebine once commanded in the 70s. Stubblebine served as executive to the deputy director at the DIA in the 1970s and later became commander of Army INSCOM in the 1980s and won awards for electronic warfare and is in the Military Intelligence Hall of Fame. He's also the highest ranking U.S. military officer to have spoken out about the official government narrative for 9/11. But his question for you, Lou, is this. As someone who served in the 902nd DIA and U.S. Army, how would you personally describe Major General Albert Stubblebine's legacy? And did he make any impact on your journey or career? And if so, can you share anything about it?
He's a hero and a huge inspiration. I'm trying to show you something here on my back wall. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can. This is the 902nd patch right here. I'll get off my wall for a second so you can see it.
He's going for a gun.
Not supposed to see that. Now you're going to say I'm promoting violence and all sorts of. Dude, you know what?
Unbelievable, Lou.
It's amazing to me, right? Like I'm just literally getting a patch off my wall to show folks, and it's oh my God, Lou supports violence. Anyway,
Get down.
That's so very cool.
Second patch right there.
Oh, wow.
A true American hero, and a pioneer, and also fearless in his dogged pursuit of the truth, no matter where it lies. You know, he once told Congress, well, why? Because they were giving him crap for using the methodologies he was using, and he basically said to Congress, why do you care how I'm collecting intelligence? As long as it's accurate, that's all you should care about, right? It's accurate. We're proving it's accurate. And some people who were very vocal against it privately kind of reached over to him and said, hey, man, this is really good stuff. But, I can't publicly defend and support this because my constituents think it's weird and spooky. But what a lot of people don't know is that the Russians had their own program too, and so did and does the Chinese, and so do other countries. Bottom line is, people when police forces use psychics to help solve a murder and they find a dead body, people think that's great. But all of a sudden, when somebody in the CIA or INSCOM wants to use, all of a sudden, oh, that's a bunch of hooey. Well, wait a minute. It either is or it isn't. I don't understand. We're spending all this money on research in human consciousness at places like MIT and Harvard and Yale, and people believe in far more things that are supernatural. I mean, the definition of religion is supernatural, right? That seems to be okay. You read a book that's 2,000 years old and you take it for exactly for what it means, and that's the gospel truth for you, no pun intended. And yet, when you see something else that's backed up scientifically and empirically with data, all of a sudden you shun it. And this goes back to what you were saying, Dan, about people's narratives. A lot of people have this preconceived narrative, and they try to drive that, and the information. And Richard, I think you touched on this too, right? That you have people that have this narrative, preconceived narrative, and all they're doing is spending time reinforcing it, without really challenging their narratives. So, anyways, with that, I will politely not speak more about dear old General Stuppelbind. But if you were to ask me my personal opinion, tremendous asset to this country. He patriot. What he did was patriotic and also very courageous, because he spoke truth to power. And sometimes that's difficult. You think as a general, the higher you up in rank you get, the easier it is to speak truth to power. But actually the inverse is a reality, because you have these political considerations, and you've been institutionalized for so long that there's these accepted norms, and there's a certain understanding that you don't rock the boat unnecessarily, right? And so General Stuppelbein definitely rocked the boat. In fact, he was in some cases he almost sank it, simply because he was a change agent, and a lot of people didn't like what he was doing. But no, I think what he did was very heroic.
It's a great answer, Lou. Thank you so much for answering. If you've got to duck off, that's A-okay. Thank you so much for being here with us to look back on the year.
Dan and Vinny and Richard, and Roz, Dale, thank you very much. And even bigger thanks to everybody in the audience out there. I saw those questions popping up, excellent questions. I think you're absolutely right. Roz, you have a very infectious laughter. Please keep it up. That is, no, really, look, humor is a great way to disarm people, and a great way to get people to relax. And a topic like this, particularly, can be kind of uncomfortable for some folks. I will. Thank you. I'll have a great New Year. I will certainly try. Thank you. Into the weird. But anyways, folks, thank you so much. Always my honor and privilege, and look forward to doing lots of these in 2026. A lot of good things are happening.
Yeah,
amazing.
Definitely. We'll
you,
have you
Lou.
back on, Lou. If you
Good to
could,
see
when
you,
you
Lou.
click leave, if you could leave
All right, guys.
the
Everybody,
tab open.
Have a wonderful New Year. God bless.
You
And
too.
also, happy belated Merry Christmas for everybody else, and Hanukkah, and whatever is your.
1 second,
Say again,
Lou.
Dan?
Just when you click leave, if you could leave the tab open so that your video uploads just in the background, your camera and stuff won't be on. That would be
Yeah,
fantastic.
nobody wants to
But
see
other
me,
than that,
brother. Nobody wants to see me, Dan. I mean, I'm happy to leave it up for you, man.
Wrong.
But
Lou's
Anyways,
footage
folks.
will self-destruct in
Yeah.
That's right.
9,
I'm not
8.
really here. This is my stunt double, right? Not too bad. All right, guys. Listen, thank you so much. Have a wonderful,
Awesome.
wonderful afternoon, everybody,
New
wherever
Year,
you are.
Lou.
Please be careful this holiday season, and God bless to your families too.
thank you so much, Lou. Really appreciate
care.
you. Have a lovely
Bye,
New
Lou.
Year, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
That
So-
was fun. A pretty amazing surprise guest, Dan.
No, not bad, right? Not bad.
Not
I
bad.
need a quick toilet break, so I'm just gonna run off. But I'm gonna put up
You
an
really
audience
were
question
excited.
for you guys. Yeah, right. I just
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bring up some questions for us to answer just from the audience. I'll pop them up on screen here. Okay, here we go. This time next year, what would you like to not only see happen, but also be talking about this time next year? And I assume in the UFO subject.
Great question.
Oh my goodness, who wants to dive in first?
Vinny, you're up.
Yeah.
I mean, off the top of my head, I think it'd be good to have more maybe like data releases from organizations like the Soul Foundation and other scientists and academics, with the work that Beatrice did this year that we've already talked about, that was received very well, and to have it on that official peer-reviewed level, more of that would be great. I think we've been crying out for it for so long, even though, there were some critics of Beatrice's work, but, if we ask for something and get it, how can you kind of criticize that? It's I don't understand that sometimes. So I think by this time next year, more scientific data would be great.
Love that. Next, Dale, you want to dive in?
I guess I was kind of thinking that I think we're going to see more whistleblowers. It seems that certainly from a Jeremy George point of view, they're in the hopper. There's a few more coming forward. Some people in the community might be tired of that, but I think it's worth its weight in gold for every single individual, especially because most of these whistleblowers are either still serving or recently have left the military. And that is a big shift in this topic, where you're getting credibility of modern day people who can speak to, as well as like in terms of providing evidence. So for example, David Grush, like being able to point to directly, hey, it's in that building, or hey, this person knows and they are still serving. So it's really important from a moving the needle point of view that we have more whistleblowers come forward. So I'm hoping that we have a couple more bombshells by this time next year.
Amazing. Richard, do you have hopes and dreams for the subject? I remember from your interview, you were kind of like, I don't know if I'm really into UFOs so much.
I'm one of those weirdos who would be super sad if we got a bunch of answers, because then we wouldn't sit around on podcasts like this asking questions. I'm also one of those weirdos who probably wouldn't believe the answers even if we got them. I'm going to have to be taken aboard the craft.
Show me the goodies. Yeah, physical craft.
Now, by the way, I say that out loud. If any aliens are listening, I actually don't want to be taken aboard the craft. If I did, I would believe it, but I don't want to. But look, I mean, when I was a little kid watching Leonard Nimoy on In Search Of, I was reading the books in my library about UFOs, and I was the second grader walking around going, in 5 years, we're all going to know the truth. And that was, 55 years ago. So what do I think we're going to be talking about next year? I think we're going to be talking about what we're talking about right now. And we're talking about last year and for the last, however many years. I don't know. There's no way to know, but that's what I think. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine asking the question and never knowing the answer until I die. And even after that, by the way, when you're in seances, folks, and you're going to the medium, ask your dead relatives about UFOs and aliens. It's a question we never ask.
100%.
Once we know they're okay and their pain is over, great, that's nice. What did you find out about the aliens? Is there disclosure in the afterlife?
It's true.
That's
Why does nobody ever think of that? It's true.
Come on.
Right.
And Bigfoot.
Richard's asking like the Neil deGrasse Tyson, but of the kind of paranormal space, right? It's like, hey, instead of like get a picture or bring me back something from the craft, it's like just ask them. Hey, you've got them on the line, Mom. While you're there.
Oh, even better if they're on the line. Hey, if the dead people call your house, write the questions down on a pad near your phone. It's a joke about people having landlines. Ask your grandparents. They'll tell you all about it.
Oh my gosh. I'm kind of in Richard's camp about like what are my hopes for next year with the subject. Like, I fall into the same line, which is like I don't have any big expectations. I don't, Dan knows. I'm not glued to the subject day in, day out. I definitely am watching it and intrigued by it. And but yeah, I don't have any big asks. I mean, my one big ask, I guess, for next year would just be to have a really kick-ass season of Skinwalker Ranch, because that's my favorite show, as Dan knows. Some people really hate it, so I'm going to make friends or enemies with that. That's okay. But I'm waiting for, Travis Taylor and the gang. Hopefully Dragon comes back, because he was really missed last season. And I want to see some good experiments this year. That's my big ask. Dan, what about you?
More experiments from there. For me, hopes and dreams in 2026 that I don't get to pause it. No, I'm kidding. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But I'd say my hopes and dreams, number one at the top of my list right now is that I hope we don't have to wait 2 years for the second season of Pluribus, because I really want to watch it ASAP.
True.
If you haven't watched it, it's Vince Gilligan's new show, the guy that did Breaking Bad. And it's a sci-fi. He's gone sci-fi. And it pretty much kicks off with us finding a signal from space. And it turns out it's this infectious virus that makes everybody happy and part of a hive mind. And the show is about the 11 survivors kind of dealing with this. And it's refreshing. It's not what you expect. You know, it's one of those shows that expects you not to be scrolling on TikTok and to be paying attention, and not everything's served up on a plate for you. So I really appreciate that. And the cinematography and acting is outstanding. So fingers crossed we don't have to wait till 2027 for that, as we usually do with the modern day TV season cycles. But also, the thing I most want to happen is, I mean, you guys remember Three-Eye Atlas, right? You know, this meteor comes in from outside the solar system, and you've got a bunch of scientists kind of going, oh, look, this is really cool. It's a meteor. We've only seen 2 of these before. Let's do some science and learn some new things. But then also, and, you know, bless you guys if you've managed to avoid this, but I've seen people on X and various social medias trying to turn it into like a goddamn replay of the Kool-Aid, you know, kind of suicide pact thing that happened with Heaven's Gate. And it was so disappointing, and none of those people have held themselves accountable and apologized to their audience or even enlightened them. And I just find that there are a lot of creators out there that just talk down their nose to their audience and just don't respect them. And I really hope that the bar goes up from there, because really there's nowhere for it to go but up, right?
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
Bar has never been lower.
Right. It's a great opportunity to step over it if you've ever been worried about any kind of height. Vinny, there is a question here for you. It's for me too, but I'm going to have you answer it. Okay. Here we go. So Vinny, Dan, and Elena, will we get a 3rd season of Phenomenology at the end of season 2? You guys were discussing a divide and conquer strategy. What is the status of that?
That's a great question. I mean, I'd love to go back out to Colombia and continue the work that we were doing. You know, I think with it being such a mixed team of people from all over the world, I think everyone's just got other projects going on, other things happening in their lives. So at this point in time, I think to bring it all back together isn't something that's going to happen in the foreseeable future. But, you know, this phenomena certainly doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So hopefully, you know, at some point, never say never, I'd love to tackle it again.
Yeah, for sure. You handled that deftly. I would have just said something like, well, we did the divide part and we haven't really come back together yet. So maybe in the future. But yeah, it would be great. And I really loved how we approached that as a nature show instead of a UFO show. So it was very like David Attenborough with all the, you know, the panoramic shots, and it was just gorgeous. Okay, so we'll do this question and then we'll, you know, call it a night. We've already gone like 20 odd minutes over what I expected. So here we go. How big will the UAP disclosure wave and movement be after Spielberg's Disclosure Day movie in June 2026? And I'm especially curious to hear your thoughts on this one, Richard, because I'm sure you've heard people, you know, probably think that you're telling these grand truths of the universe in the Mothman Prophecies movie and various other things you do. And yeah, is it a prophecy or is it a movie? What do you think?
Well, people asked the same thing almost 50 years ago with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I'm not sure. It would be interesting to look back and see if in the year after that movie came out, there was a giant spike in people reporting the exact kinds of UFOs that were seen. My guess is that did not happen. And skeptics will often point to Close Encounters and go, oh, Close Encounters comes out and then suddenly everybody is seeing these little bald aliens, the little grays. Well, first of all, when you look at the aliens in Close Encounters, they really don't look like grays. There's some things they have in common, but many things they don't. Plus, the grays were being seen before. It's always so strange to me, and I just love the naivete of the skeptics who believe that Hollywood is driving everything, and that crazy creative people are making things up, and then everyone just goes, yeah, that's what I'm seeing. But nobody's seeing Chewbacca or R2-D2, and no one's seeing C-3PO, and no one ever has. Chewbacca was based on Bigfoot, based on what people were seeing. It's always the other way around. It's the stuff you see in movies isn't original. The people who are writing and making the movies are living in the same world you're living in and experiencing the same things you're experiencing. So do I think there's going to be a mass social movement in response to the film? I don't think so. I am interested to see if the movie is good. I'm curious as to whether, I'm going to enjoy it as a movie. Most people are going to see it as a movie. They're not going to see it as news adjacent. I guess, I'd be very sad and surprised if Spielberg's vision is that if some form of disclosure comes and people lose their shit. That would be depressing. I hope it's not that.
Yeah, it would. I'm equally looking forward to it. Just as a movie, when Nope came out, it was the same with Nope. I was just like, oh, this is going to be an interesting outsider's perspective. And what happened was the community had a bunch of expectations about the film that weren't met because they just imagined this Skinwalker Ranch-esque, straight down the middle UFO movie, which is the least interesting thing that anyone could do. And then it came out and it was really interesting. It took a different tact about, if UFOs are some rare super, I think it was like an alpha predator, wasn't it, in the movie? Just a really rare form of life that just lives with us on Earth, and resulted in this almost like, the movie's upside down Jaws, essentially, right? Like the sky is the ocean and it's going to jump out and grab them. And it was an incredible experience. And to this day, I still hear people challenging like, oh, it was rubbish. And it's like, well, okay, there's enjoying it, but there's also kind of just being open to new ideas that you didn't expect and being open to things that you didn't expect. So I would implore people to, let go of the hype, let go of the expectation. There's going to be truth here and just enjoy it for what it is.
Well put.
I think the last movie Spielberg took a writing credit on, I think, was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was his story, I know that, and sort of his concept and his approach, which was one filled with wonder. That was not a film about, war coming to us from the skies. That is a movie about wonder, and I've seen the trailer. I'm not sure this one feels the same way. As a filmmaker, I guess that's what I'm most interested in is, has he evolved to a different place, and is that place decidedly darker? I guess we'll see.
Yeah. It struck me very similar to the series Taken that he did. I think he executive produced that one, as opposed to writing it. But, with the animals and the screen images and stuff like that, I was like, oh, this reminds me of Taken. That's kind of a cool place for it to go. What about you, Vinny?
I'm just looking forward to it as a great summer blockbuster movie. I love Spielberg, love all of his work in general. I think what we need to do is separate it from the conspiracies that it's got some kind of hidden meaning or something deeper than that relates to the truth about the UFO subject. I think it's just nonsense, really. All I can really hope that it does is sparks more conversation from people that may not be familiar with the subject, who then may go and talk about it a bit more or look into it and then maybe find their way into seeing what's been happening in the past few years and, well, longer, but since the 2017 New York Times article. And so that's all you can really hope for is more conversation and just helping to reduce that stigma around the subject.
Yeah, for sure. Roz, Dale?
I mean, I am excited to see it as well. I am kind of like what Richard said. I'm excited to see like how his
what he said
take has evolved, like how Spielberg's take has evolved, over the years since Close Encounters to now. I find it interesting too, like, that there are the connections between, the weird connections between like the Nazca mummies and how the aliens in Close Encounters looked. I don't know. Like, what is up with that? I'm not sure. So, so I think a lot of people out there are just kind of like, Steven Spielberg he knows more than he's letting on, right? Or maybe he will reveal all in this movie. And yeah, I'm not expecting that, but I am excited to see it for sure. Can I just add that, Vinnie, in your encounter episode that we did, you talked about how you saw E.T. as a kid.
Yeah.
And how I think it was your mom had said you said you were crying when you were watching it because it was so emotional. So it's another Spielberg film, is what tangent. So I went back and I watched a couple of clips of E.T. Because I was thinking about putting little clips in your episode, and I was crying watching it. I'm like, this is so traumatic. I have not seen this movie since I was a kid, and I am never watching it again. Like, I'm sorry. I was like, this was a kid's film. Like, it was so sad.
Ross, what are you afraid of feelings?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Exactly right. I was just like, why did they do this to kids? And then, because you said in your episode it made you cry. I'm like, no kidding. Oh
It's
my
hardcore.
gosh. Like, so traumatizing. So anyway, I'm really hoping there's no scenes like that in this movie. Because I don't watch Pixar either for that exact reason.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
I don't need to have my heart broken, okay? Life does that
Hopefully.
enough. I'm good. Yeah.
And originally E.T. was meant to be like a horror, right? I forget what it was called, but it was meant to be basically the Hopkinsville Goblin kind of encounter, like a farmhouse under siege. And
I
there
would
was
prefer
one
that.
character in it that connected with the alien, and they were like, yeah, that's our story. Let's just go with the connection and the nice one and drop everything else.
Oh my God. He's on a table. Elliot's laying beside him. He's dying. They're in an ER. Like, just the whole thing was.
It's brutal.
Anyway,
I'm
let's
just
move
hearing
on.
like Elliot's in my head, and I'm just like,
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be decidedly
Dale?
different. I don't think it has anything to do. I think it's piggybacking from a titling perspective and the momentum in the community. I think it's piggybacking on that. But I don't think it has anything to do with. I think it's going to explore what happens if there's some form of disclosure, and I think it's also going to explore like the really human. Again, not to throw the line out again, but what it actually means to be human, right? Because
Say
like
it.
when we're
say
confronted,
the name of the show.
it's almost like
Drink.
funny because just to dive into this a little bit, but I think I can read the tea leaves on the teaser that he put out, that there's some qualities about children and animals and communication and consciousness and these things. So there's going to be qualities to what this interaction is that are going to be very foreign and very different and totally opposite from ET. So, and I think the invitation is, to explore the what ifs, these deep what ifs, and these really, and I think it kind of goes to all of these types of topics, and going back to what I was saying earlier about trying to come to terms with information and kind of if we find out these truths about reality and they're very foreign to us, they're very different, and they might be completely upending in certain paradigms of how we thought things worked. How we're going to do with that? How we're going to be with that, and what happens to us? And I think Spielberg often explores that deeper human quality, and really kind of like exposes what it is about us, what comes out of us when we're confronted in certain ways, what deeper human qualities do we have. And I think his love and fascination with the subject will be on full display here. We don't know how many more he's got in the bag of tricks, and I think at least in an interview that we saw online from a year or two ago, you could see his love and his excitement for this subject was still, top of mind for him. So I think it's going to be pretty special, but I don't think it moves the needle. If anything, just totally, coming all the way back out of it, I think it just muddies the water more, because if people are looking for truth, it's like you won't find truth from Hollywood. You won't find some truth about the subject there. You can find an exploration on themes and topics and things that drive ticket sales and things that sell pop and popcorn. And, they're mutually exclusive things, but enjoy it nonetheless. So I'm sure everyone will go out and see it in the summer.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm with you on that. Richard had a really nice moment in his episodes where we were talking about TV and how we think the point of TV is to be entertained, when no. The point of TV is for you to watch ads and for them to make money, and everything else just serves that, right?
Yeah. Or sell subscriptions. That's what it is now.
And yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to anyone that's asked questions and been in the chat. This was our first New Year's extravaganza, and we'll definitely do it again next year. All the guests, don't go away. I'm just going to click end here, and the live stream will end very abruptly. It will be put back up, edited in the future as an episode. But apart from that, I guess good luck and good night. Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on Spotify or on your chosen platform. If you could like, share, or subscribe, that would be very much appreciated. It helps us find our tribe. If you'd like to support the show and get access to a 1-hour live chat each month and early ad-free access, you can find us at Patreon. Just follow the link in the show notes or at our website, tobehumanshow.com. And feel free to reach out via the contact page or email at hello@tobehumanshow.com. You can also find us on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, or X at tobehumanshow. As always, remember to be curious. The universe is bigger than we know.
What It Means to Be Human is a double-barrel production. This week's episode was produced by Roz Mugford and Dan Zetterstrom. Sound post-production by Parker Mosley with technical support from Dale Mugford. Our theme music is by Thunderbird.